Speak of the devil.
Man, shut down. Come on, party over.
Mad?
What you mean why I'm mad? Get inside, man. Over. Party over, man. Nut ass, man. Come on, man. Party over, man. Shut this nut ass.
Joseline Hernandez, a name that has come to represent drama, confidence, and audacity in love and hip-hop, just revealed a surprising and intensely intimate story that no one could have predicted for years. On reality TV, Joseline was seen as one of the most fearless and outspoken individuals, but beneath the glitzy pictures and public appearances, she was going through a nightmare that had stayed out of the spotlight. During a tearful interview for the first time, Joseline bravely revealed the abuse she suffered at the hands of her fiancé, music producer Ballistic. What started out as a seemingly ideal relationship swiftly devolved into a toxic spiral that included physical and emotional abuse. This revealed what really happened behind the scenes in their relationship. Fans had always been aware of the relationship between Joseline and Ballistic, who were portrayed as a couple in love who attended events together, shared pictures of their lives, and showed off their love for one another. However, as Joseline quickly reveals, this picture was far from accurate. What appeared to be the ideal romance was actually the backdrop for a much more complex and dark reality.
Man, come on, man. What you talking about? Let's go. What's wrong with you, man? Come here. Yo, stop. Yo, you think this a game, man? I'm not playing with her, man. Stupid ass, dumb ass, man.
Like many abusive relationships, Joseline remembers how the abuse began subtly and almost imperceptibly. It started with minor arguments that quickly got out of hand and moments when her temper flared over insignificant things. At first, she blamed these outbursts on stress or miscommunication.
What's wrong with you feeding somebody fruit and then you telling the young boy, oh, don't tell nobody about what we did today, man. All this, man. Man.
Are you serious?
Yeah, you a nut, man. You're not an example. You a nut.
What's
You
wrong?
a nut ass broad. That's what the you are.
Are you kidding
Man,
me?
you disrespect me. I told you, treat me like a king.
What?
You don't disrespect me, man.
After all, she had experienced her fair share of drama and controversy on reality TV, so she tried to dismiss it as a passing problem. However, it quickly became apparent that something more sinister was at work as emotional abuse became a frequent occurrence in their dynamic. Ballistic would constantly criticize her and belittle her with harsh words and insults. His temper would get the better of him over trivial matters, and Joseline found herself the target of verbal abuse that made her feel insecure and unworthy. She describes how she began to doubt. Like many victims of emotional abuse, she started to doubt her value and even blame herself for the disputes. She also started to lose her sense of self and become lonely, but the effects of emotional abuse weren't the only ones. Physical assault was eventually used to aggravate the situation. Joseline recounts a particularly horrific incident in which she was physically abused by Ballistic. The specifics of the attack are difficult to describe, but Joseline is explicit about how it left her feeling scared, broken, and trapped. She claims that the man I trusted and loved was no longer who I believed him to be. Instead, he was a stranger who may harm me. For Joseline, in the aftermath of the attack, the physical abuse was the tipping point. She experienced a great deal of shame and was afraid of how people would react if they found out because she was a public figure. Although Joseline was aware that her disclosure could ruin her reputation, she was afraid of being judged, rejected, and losing everything she had worked so hard to achieve. Nevertheless, she bravely chose to come forward and talk about her abuse. Like many victims of domestic abuse, Joseline struggled with feelings of shame and guilt and wondered if she was. Her decision to speak out was an act of courage, not only for herself, but also for anyone who might be trapped in an abusive relationship. In the interview, Joseline stressed the importance of recognizing the signs of abuse and seeking help, speaking directly to those who might be in relationships similar to hers, and urging them to break free and reach out for support. "You don't have to suffer in silence," she said, adding that you are worthy of love and respect that no one should ever make you feel insignificant or hurt. In the world of celebrity culture, where appearance and perception frequently take precedence over reality, Joseline's bravery has sparked a larger conversation about physical and emotional abuse in relationships. Her story serves as a painful reminder that domestic violence can happen to anyone, regardless of wealth or fame, and that the scars left by abuse can be severe. To this day, Joseline is focused on healing, taking the necessary steps to rebuild her life and regain her sense of self as she continues on her journey of recuperation. She is still dedicated to using her platform to spread awareness about domestic abuse because she believes that her experience can give others the courage to leave their own violent relationships and get the support they need. Despite its pain, Joseline's story inspires and shows how you can reclaim your own story through honesty. Her message is clear: no one deserves to be abused. Her story shows that even in the worst circumstances, you can speak out, heal, and start over. As a voice for survivors, Joseline reminds us all that everybody deserves to live without fear or suffering, and abuse of any kind should never be accepted. A surprising and intensely intimate story that no one could have predicted for years was just disclosed by Joseline Hernandez, a name that has come to represent drama, confidence, and audacity in love and hip-hop. Despite being one of the most fearless and outspoken personalities on reality TV, beneath the glitzy pictures and public appearances, Joseline was going through a nightmare that had hitherto been kept secret. In an emotional interview, Joseline bravely began talking about she suffered at the hands of her fiancé, music producer Ballistic. What started out as a seemingly ideal relationship swiftly descended into toxic, spiraling into physical and emotional abuse. For the first time, Joseline revealed what really happened behind the scenes in her traumatic experiences. Fans had always seen her and Ballistic as a couple in love, attending events together, sharing pictures of their lives, and expressing their love for one another. Their social media feeds depicted a story of bliss and happiness, but Joseline quickly exposes that this picture was not accurate. What appeared to be the ideal romance was actually the backdrop for a more complex and sinister reality. Joseline remembers how the abuse began almost imperceptibly, like many abusive relationships, with small arguments that quickly escalated and moments when her temper flared over trivial matters. At first, she tried to brush it off as a passing problem, assuming it was just a temporary issue. After all, she had seen her fair share of drama and controversy on reality TV, so this seemed like just another obstacle they would have to overcome. May reconcile, but it quickly became evident that a darker force was at work as emotional abuse became a frequent occurrence in their dynamic. Joseline recounts how she was subjected to verbal abuse that left her feeling insecure and worthless. She explains how she began to doubt herself, questioning her worth, and even blaming herself for the arguments, just like many victims of emotional abuse. Ballistic would belittle her with harsh words, insults, and constant criticism, and his temper would get the better of him over trivial matters. Emotional abuse that had a negative impact, physical assault, was eventually used to aggravate the situation. Joseline recounts a particularly harrowing incident in which she was physically attacked by Ballistic. Despite her inability to recall the attack, Joseline describes its effects. She claimed that the man I trusted and loved was no longer who I believed him to be. Instead, he was a stranger who could harm me. I was crushed, afraid, and trapped, and I didn't know who I was anymore.